The moment Owen's boots crunched onto the loose gravel, the world seemed to pause. Overhead, the moon cut a jagged line through whipped cloud banks, illuminating the sagging neon canopy of a derelict gas station. Paint peeled like old sunburn, curling away from wood and brick. Rotted pumps stood like tombstones, slumped and defeated. Above the doorway, ancient flytraps hung limp, their coils glistening in the humid night. The air pressed in, heavy with the acrid tang of rust and gasoline, masking something fouler beneath. A hint of rot, mold, and an old grief, thick as syrup. Out on the blacktop, oil pooled around shards of broken glass. A red smear traced the cracks, catching the moonlight. The silence was not empty. It thrummed with possibility. The far-off whine of a power line, the distant bark of a coyote, the shuffle of unseen things in the weeds. But here, beside the battered door, time stretched thin, like the skin over a bone. Owen's hands trembled. He shoved them deeper into his pockets, feeling the biting chill of night leak through fabric patched and worn. He told himself it was just a shortcut, a place to rest on this endless road home. A detour, nothing more. But the memory of smoke and twisted steel still burned behind his eyes. The accident, the scream, his sister's voice fading into static. He shut his eyes, but the image remained. In the Grime Street window, a single cracked mirror hung, half buried behind warped signage. The web of fractures snaked across its surface, scattering Owen's reflection into 100 frantic, shifting pieces. Bathed in sickly yellow light, the shards seemed to breathe. That was the image, his detached face trapped in a spiderweb of splintered glass, the shattered mirror shimmering in the fog. Keep moving, Owen pleaded with himself. Just a detour. It started small, in ways that begged to be ignored. He set his battered duffel at the foot of a molding display rack. The interior was a mausoleum of consumer afterlife. Shelves bowed under the weight of melted gum, melted chocolate, half-crushed soda cans bloom-speckled with rust. The floor was sticky, each step peeling away with a reluctant shriek. Somewhere above, water dripped rhythmically, plip, 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 almost like a metronome setting the tempo for his racing pulse. The air thickened with every breath, tinged by a metallic tang. Owen fished for his phone and found no bars. The screen cast him in a blue ghost light. Out in the corners, shadows squirmed, almost humming. And there, by the checkout, a streak of something red snaked up the wall. Paint, surely, but the sharpness of its hue set his skin crawling. A gust rattled the windows. Owen swore he heard a brittle laugh joining the wind, a sound like glass grinding underfoot. He spun around. The cracked mirror glinted, hungry lines splitting his face. Shivering, he looked away. The station had swallowed his presence whole. He heard a scuffling, the echo of shoes on tile. He called out. No answer, only the hush, swelling thicker, heavier, pressing in from all sides. He thumbed at a lighter, a nervous tick. When he flicked it, the flame stuttered blue, then fizzled. The mirror, out of the corner of his eye, flared white-hot. Red threads seemed to pulse within the fractures, vanishing when looked at directly. He tried the restroom. The handle stuck. Inside, the floor was clogged with old water, and on the cracked sink basin, a length of red yarn lay coiled and tight, suspiciously clean against all decay. Back at his bag, the contents seemed off. A shirt missing, wallet nudged to the side, like unseen hands had poked around while he was gone. He checked the time. The hands on the station's clock spun backward, slow then rapid, before halting. 3:33 glowing in mechanical red. Owen's heart stuttered. The smell, decay, rust, and something charred was now unmistakable. He returned to the window, compelled by dread. The outside pumps flickered, shadows weaving between them. The mirror caught the moonlight, each crack now shimmering with red-lit veins. The sound of a hollow, mocking giggle echoed through the empty aisles. He looked over his shoulder, still alone. He pressed his palm against the glass, breath fogging the cracks, and thought he saw, if only for a moment, a second face peering through the void, twisted, familiar, and pleading for absolution. His world warped. The mirror's spiderweb seemed to crawl, edges warping, reflecting things out of sequence. Owen's memories stuttered. He saw his sister, bright-eyed, climbing into the passenger seat. The moment before screeching tires, her voice half laughing, half hesitant, caught in a loop. But there was something new. Behind her, in the back seat, a pulsing red thread snaked from her wrist to the mirror. The glass fractured, blood streaming from the spiral cracks. Guilt hollowed Owen's chest. He staggered, clutching a shelf for balance. The gas station stretched, shifting shadows unfurling like long, bony fingers. Labels slid off cans, words dissolving into static. From above, the rhythmic drip became a steady, thick patter. Red now, not water, pooling in sluggish rivulets along the grout lines. The clock hand spun madly again. The lights pulsed, and the mirror's surface bulged outward, as if something inside ached to be let out. Owen's reflection grinned, lips splitting wide along fractured glass, eyes utterly wrong. At the snack aisle's end, a mop bucket overturned, spilling more red thread across the tiles. The yarn threaded through everything, connecting every object, converging on the mirror. He tried to run, but each step yanked at invisible bindings, pulling him backward. The door to the outside refused to budge. A single thin voice coiled from the restroom. "Let me out, please." Not quite his sister's, not quite a stranger's. Behind the pleading, a wet scrape, like finger bones raking glass. He turned to flee, but the mirror was everywhere. Splinters reflecting in bottles, in puddles, in his own tearing mind. The cracks pulsed, growing wider, and his sister's face, distorted, bleeding from every fissure, rose, lips moving soundlessly behind the glass. Owen smashed his hand into the surface, rage and panic surging. Blood smeared the spiderweb, but it drank deep, each droplet feeding the shivering light. The glass thrummed with power, an anguish, an echo of his own guilt. The air congealed. Cold sweat pattered down his face, every sense screaming for escape. Every time he blinked, he saw the accident again, but now his reflection stood behind the wheel, smiling, whispering, "Your turn." He fought the memory, pulling red yarn from his wrist now, flesh puckering beneath, a ritual demand. The pain shocked him, real, grounding. A laugh, high and childlike, burst from the mirror. A face in the glass snapped into focus. It was his, then hers, then neither. Owen stumbled, his will fragmenting, 1,000 versions of himself peering down every aisle, all reflected in warped glass. He screamed. The station swallowed the sound. Shelves tumbled as Owen clawed his way across the store. The once stagnant air now howled, icy needles lashing his cheeks. Each display rack became a twisted effigy, draped in red thread, crowned with fragments of shattered glass. The pumping heart of the mirror drew him back, its pull relentless. He seized a length of broken shelf, flinging it at the mirror. The impact sent cracks snaking further, but instead of shattering, the surface undulated, swallowing the wood whole. Owen recoiled, bile rising as the mirror rippled with laughter, a wet, broken sound that rattled his bones. Then, silence. The reflection faded, showing only a vast, black void. From the darkness, figures emerged, shapes echoing lost moments of Owen's life. His mother's disapproving frown, his father's distant stare. Then his sister, hand outstretched, red thread stitched through her palms, her eyes pleading, "Finish it, Owie, finish the ritual." The phrase thudded in Owen's head. Images cascaded and blurred. He saw red thread, his childhood guilt strung around fingers, the accident, red light smearing windshield glass, apologies never spoken. Now, the gas station became an altar. Broken pumps bled oily tears, the walls slick with crimson runes. Each act of guilt a step in a ritual, binding him tighter to this place. Suddenly, the light stuttered, out, then blindingly back on. The air split with a shriek as the mirror convulsed. Owen caught a glimpse of something clawed and pale reaching out. First jump scare, before it recoiled just as quickly, leaving cold fingerprints on his trembling skin. He crawled to the service hatch, tried prying it open. From inside, something pounded, each hit distorting the entire building, cracks zigzagging in the walls. The ground buckled beneath his knees, a sticky residue seeping through his jeans. He heard a voice, his own, layered over screams, chanting a rhyme from childhood, a ritual of guilt and regret, looping endlessly through the suffocating gloom. Betrayal burned in his veins. He could save himself, or he could save her. The ground swayed, tiles splitting open. Owen scrambled, blind with terror, trying doors that bled thread when touched. The mirror's heart hammered, the red veins now seared across his own knuckles. He spun, seeking any escape, and behind him, glinting by the register, was a second cracked mirror, smaller, almost portable. He lunged, shoving it into his bag. Instantly, the store writhed. Second jump scare, the racks twisting like limbs, the pumps outside shrieking, spitting flame that licked at shadowy figures dancing in the dark. The main mirror gaped wide, a mouth, hungry, screaming for ritual and for guilt. "Owie," it crooned. "Help me finish." He felt his will slipping. All he had to do was give in, let the pain finish the circle, close the loop. He snapped. Owen threw the second mirror at the larger one. Glass exploded, a flurry of red and smoke, shattering every light, every shadow. The ground heaved, his face flashed across every broken surface, his sister's smile flickering in the burst. Third jump scare, as her hand reached out, brushing his cheek before tearing away. Instantly, everything stilled. The silence roared. Owen, bleeding and shaking, faced the original cracked mirror. Inside it, his sister's eyes shone, empty, pleading, echoing the same ritual accusation. He understood. The only way out was confession. He pressed his bloodied palm to the glass, mouth filling with copper and ash. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I let go. I let you go." The spiderweb cracks pulsed, bright red. For a heartbeat, her hand met his, warm and fleeting, and then cold, so cold, as she vanished into the mirror's abyss. Owen's knees buckled. The station's lights flickered out one by one. Grey light bled through boarded windows. Owen slumped by the ruined counter as dawn fought through mists. The gas station remained, more corpse than building. Pumps slouched, mirrors dead and dull, shelves skeletally bare. But on the main mirror, one red thread remained, wet and slick, his own guilt, stitched tight into ritual. Owen staggered outside, skin crawling. The mirror leered through the fog, a thumbnail image for memory and for warning. The jagged web, an inhuman smile frozen beneath the glass. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was taut, full of the horror lingering just beneath waking. The ritual was never complete. Some guilt you live with, some guilt finds you, and the cracked mirror waits for the next confession. What would you do if your past trapped you in its glass? Comment below, if you dare to look.